Remind us when we can discuss like new business or something, what part of the meeting that's good for.
For what? For this, for the maps?
That and a couple of, I'm going to ask a couple of things to be agendized for next meeting. Could you just remind us when we can discuss
Gentlemen, you're live.
New business or something, what part of the. Right.
Yes.
Gentlemen, you're live.
Great. This is the Public Safety Committee meeting of December 17th, 2020. We're going to have a call to order. Adam, will you make that call?
I believe you just did.
Got it. Pledge of Allegiance. Shall we? Let me lead. Please stand. Place your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United
of
States
the United States of America
and to the
and
republic.
to the republic
Stand.
for which it stands,
One nation,
one nation,
Under God.
under God, with
visible.
liberty,
Liberty and
justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, Adam.
All right, Chairman Bercuda,
I am here.
Vice Chair Joe Janis,
Here.
Committee Member Leffler,
Yo,
Committee Member Walsh,
Here.
Committee Member Capobianco,
I'm here.
and Committee Member Manhart.
Here.
All right. I did receive a communication from Committee Member Rod Malott that he is not able to attend today, so he will not be joining us.
Understood. Thank you. We have any special presentations today, Adam?
We do not today. I was trying to organize a presentation from our emergency planning coordinator, Stephen Foster, but he had a conflict. So he will be presenting in January. I was not able to put something together for the Code Compliance Division and Park Ranger overviews in time for this meeting. So that presentation will probably be occurring in February.
Seeing none, we're going to go to the minutes of November 10th. Everybody got a copy of those. Any questions on the minutes? Let's
I
see.
think Gary was saying something, but he looked like he was muted.
You're right. I was trying to keep the noise down. I was making a motion to pass the minutes.
Oh, I'll second that.
Okay, any comments at all? Seeing none, do a roll call. Adam?
All right. Chair Bercuda,
Aye.
Vice Chair Janis,
Aye.
Committee Member Leffler,
Aye.
and Committee Member Walsh.
Yes, he's aye.
I'm sorry, Gary, you were.
I'm trying to be good and muted, and I keep messing it up. Aye.
All right, thank you, and we appreciate that.
Yeah. Oral or written communications, Adam, anything?
Yes, we do have one communication submitted today. Let me find it here. Okay. All right, this communication comes to us from Christy McBride Hart. First, I'd like to say I am not for or against bikes, e-bikes, e-scooters, or e-skateboards on the beach trail, but I am for further studying of these issues before a decision is made. I walk the beach trail in the morning 3 to 5 times a week. I rarely see a bike I think is going too fast, so I would hate to ban all electric bikes without some studying of the situation. Here are some questions I think I need to be answered first. When I see a bike, e-bike or e-skateboard, I think is going too fast. Are they actually going faster than the 10-mile-per-hour speed limit? Perhaps it's the speed limit itself that is too high. What percent of riders are going faster than the speed limit? Seems wrong to bar them all because of a few idiots. It's too bad those idiots don't get speeding tickets. I have never seen a near miss unless the lady that had a bike come within 1 foot of her counted that as a near miss. How many people have actually been hurt by bikes, etc., on the trail since the trail opened in 2006? I would love to see a study done with radar guns. Can I help? I recommend the area by Linda Lane since it's wide and straight, so bikes, etc., are at their fastest. Perhaps it could be done by the RSVP. Another idea is to put one of the radar boxes used on streets to slow cars down onto the beach trail. I know that they would work with bikes because one worked for my son on his skateboard. Again, the Linda Lane area would work for the same reason as above, but also it has easy access from the street. I do wish all bikes had bells or other noisemakers to let us know they are approaching. Thanks for listening, Christy McBride Hart. And that is it for oral communications.
You. Reviews and recommendations. Anybody have an input on that?
Okay, that's my question, Adam. When can we talk about possible items, future agenda items and that?
Well, essentially, if you bring something up and have make a motion, have a second, and then the committee votes to agendize something, you can pretty much do that at any point in the meeting. As far as the reviews and recommendations go, there are no new performance measures that have come out since the last round of information provided to the committee. More information will come on that next month, or maybe February. It depends on when everybody's reporting is consistent. But as far as the reviews and recommendations go, that's typically what's going to be in that agenda item, are the performance measures. But if there's something else that the committee would like to review or make recommendations on, you're more than welcome to bring it up here. You could also bring up pretty much any items you want at the committee comments section at the end of the meeting. If you're not clear of where in the agenda, you might bring up a topic.
Okay, that'll be perfect. And then the one last thing is I did want Joe and I to have an opportunity to update the committee on the Neighborhood Watch program, where we're at, and where would you like us to do that?
In one of the next items coming up under unfinished business, it's the fiscal year work plan project updates. And that's just a nice bucket item where everybody can kind of discuss and bring up issues related to their specific work plan projects or share news about them.
Perfect. Okay. I think I've got it figured out. Thanks.
Good job. Anyone else for the thoughts there? Then we get into new business. Item A is our next meeting, time and date. We brought that up, and the City Council has agreed to allow us to go to a regular monthly rather than all these specials. In the minutes from November 10th, there was a motion and a second to have a standard meeting time of the fourth Tuesday of each month at 2 p.m. starting in January. Any problems with that at this point?
What is it going to be again? What, the second Tuesday? Or when did you say that was?
Fourth Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So that'd be the 26th of January.
Is it possible to make that 3 o'clock? I can do 2, but 3 would be a little better for me. But if everyone is good with 2 o'clock, then I'll be sure to make that.
Okay.
Is there another meeting later that night, Adam? On the
I'm
second
looking
Tuesday?
at that right now. And just on this item, the actual next meeting that this meeting will adjourn to is tonight's joint meeting at 6 p.m. So what we want to discover is, or identify is, what meeting are we going to adjourn from that meeting, so that we're not spending everybody's time trying to figure out the next date. Let's see.
Adam, let me change on my last request. I just looked at Ed and the fire chief, and I think we go later. These guys are going to be getting a little bit later on the way home, so let's keep it at 2 o'clock. I'll just make sure I can be there.
So that's the fourth Tuesday of January, which would be January 26th at 2 p.m. And there is no other meeting scheduled at that time.
And for clarification, then our meetings are going to be on the fourth Tuesday of the month from here on out, after our joint one today.
Yeah, if we can get a motion in a second to formalize that that date for the committee's meeting, then I will make every other one the fourth Tuesday of the month. The committee's change from ad hoc to regular does not actually become effective until the middle of February. So this January meeting will be the last special meeting that we need to organize. The one in February will be after the date of the ordinance's effectiveness, and so that one will be a regular meeting.
Got it.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that our next joint meeting be December the 17th at 6 p.m. and that our next special meeting be on Tuesday, do we say January 26th?
At 2.
At 2 p.m.
Come on, Gary, you get it.
Okay, so
Second that.
okay, so 6 p.m. is the time when you would all like to hold the meetings.
No, I said that our next joint meeting be, when we adjourn from this, we still have another meeting.
Oh, perfect.
So I was saying our next joint meeting is at 6 p.m. on the 17th, and that our next special meeting be on Tuesday, January 26th at 2 p.m.
Perfect. And if everybody's on board with the fourth Tuesday of the month being the date for the regular meetings, if you want to add that to the motion, then we can just take care of.
I think you did.
Then we can never have to schedule another meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll amend my motion to be that our next joint meeting will be Tuesday, the 17th at 6 p.m. That's this evening. And our next regular and all future regular meetings be on Tuesday, January 26th at 2 p.m.
Well, okay, let's try that one again. Okay, we got the joint meeting tonight. You got special meeting in January, and then any future meetings will be on the fourth Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. How's that?
All future regular, because it turns into a regular meeting then.
Got it.
Yes. Okay.
Gary, are you good with that? For a second? Good.
Okay.
All right.
Let me-
We make the big vote, make it official.
Okay. Chairman Bercuda?
Aye.
Vice Chair Janus?
Aye.
Committee Member Leffler?
Aye.
And Committee Member Walsh?
Aye.
All right, that passes 4-0.
All right. Okay, so the next, any other new business that we need to talk about? Go to
No, there is not.
Okay. Go to unfinished business. We got a fiscal year work plan updates. How would you like to proceed on that, Adam?
So I am aware of a couple projects currently being worked on by the committee members. I wanted to provide an opportunity for anybody to provide updates during this time. In addition to that, I took the work plan implementation program matrix that we went through at the last meeting to identify exactly who would be doing what. And I cut it down to the specific direction provided by the committee. And that was provided as an agenda item. So if there are any questions on that, let me know. But please review that and just make sure that you know, all the tasks are, and the timing of the tasks specifically are something that you know, you guys can follow. If there's any issues along the way, please contact me. But other than that, I'll open it up to anybody else who wants to discuss specifics.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, first of all, just to weigh in on that, I at the city council meeting on Tuesday, just found out that I guess now the one of the ramifications of going to a regular committee is now we have term limits on our positions. And I guess when we were in ad hoc, there really wasn't. We could just keep on sliding along. So now, I think it was recommended, and Adam can correct me whenever I'm wrong on this because it's a little confusing, but our term limits are going to be now 2 years on this committee. And what the recommendation was originally is that we stagger them so that on June 21st of 2021, we would actually, they would draw straws to see which 2 members stayed and which 2 members went, and they would get 2 new members on the committee. I'm not sure if that's how it played out because it got confusing there. But assuming that and then somebody brought up, well, they just started, so maybe that's going to be extended. But with that in mind, that there possibly 2 of us could be leaving in June, I would like to take a look at our work plan and really cut it down and revise it, even if we're only going to be on for 2 years. Starting in June, that's only 2.5 years before some of us will be gone. I look at our work plan and I think there's no way, you know, the work plan only really runs through 2021 anyway. But as we know, we would probably be working on several of those projects carrying forward just for time period. So I just think somehow we need to look at that and figure that out somehow, do some organization in that respect. And then maybe Adam can enlighten on what this really all means, what they discussed at the council meeting.
Well, you're correct. There are time limits for regular committees. And the reason for that is because regular committees are anticipated to last ad infinitum, whereas an ad hoc committee is identified or is designated as such because the idea is that they tend to be working on special projects that have a definite amount of time that it's going to take to do this. So it's not an ad hoc committee, you know, is not looked at as something that's going to last more than, let's say, 3 or 4 years. If it's getting into, you know, half of a decade, then it should be a regular committee. So if it's of a short duration, there's no point in having term limits because the topic matter is kind of the driving force, whereas a regular committee, you know, they're going to be looking at a lot of things over a long period of time, and so it's expected that you're going to have a rotation of members. With that said, it would I don't know how likely it is that anybody's term would actually end this year or this coming year, only because, as you mentioned, everybody's been on the committee for a year, and technically, by the time we get to the end of the term being June 30th, that's actually less than a year. Nobody will have actually even served one full year. I think what's more likely to occur is that in or before June, the council is going to, because it's an even numbered year, that's the beginning of 3 of the 2-year term limits. So what I believe is going to happen is that they're going to simply identify which 3 committee members are starting a 2-year term. And then the 4th committee member would be the person whose term would be on the even numbered years. At the same time, and that actually might not be 3, because as you know, there's supposed to be 5 people on this committee. There's only 4 right now. That the 5th one will be decided at the expiration of the term in June or before June. So due to the shortness of time that everybody's been on the committee, it would surprise me how much rotation of members there actually would be this coming year.
Okay, and at some point, the council could actually amend or do something to figure out something better. If there was something better to facilitate the coming and going, they would have that power also.
They would. It would require an amendment to the code. But this is the same process that they use for other committees and commissions, and it seems to work.
Well, the one big difference between us and the other committees is they set it up to have subject matter experts, and other committees, they're just whoever wants to be on the Parks Committee. They don't need any special experience or training. So this committee is slightly different, and I would, you don't know who's gonna apply for this. You could end up with no fire experience except for the chief. I mean, no citizen fire experience and no citizen police experience, just by luck of the draw. And I don't see how the committee would be effective under that organization.
Well, you're correct, and the ordinance does specify that they need to have expertise in public safety. So any replacement would necessitate the filling of the position by somebody with expertise. However, you make a good point, and I think the comments that you're making kind of speak to the reason why you're probably going to have some longer durations of committee members on this committee than maybe others. But I don't know. It is a council decision. But these are all reasons why this committee may not see turnover like there is in others. But
Okay.
we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Sounds good. Cross that bridge when we come to it. I just wanted to bring it up so everybody could, was aware. It happened kind of late at the council meeting, so I don't know if everybody was watching that portion of it. So just wanted to make you aware of that issue. And like I say, we'll cross that. Hey, I might be ready to go on in June of 21. You never know.
Let's hope.
So anyway, okay. Well, thank you for the time. And then at this point now, I also would like to talk about the Neighborhood Watch program.
Okay.
And
I do have your map, so let me know when you would like me to bring that up.
okay, well, actually, I'm going to turn this over to Joe's actually done the most work on this. We had chatted a little bit about how to start facilitating this, and we came up with the idea, or Joe came up with the idea of dividing the city up into districts. Big districts, which we would have inside those big districts would be the smaller neighborhood watch programs. And so for just organizational value, Joe mocked up a map that was really, really good to start with. Tried to encompass the HOAs within one big one, Talega in one, and it came out to 11 districts. I changed it. The only change I put in was that we would have one district would be the downtown district by itself, because they might have their own business organization that they would want to be part of, as opposed to a neighborhood, and then added another one inland from there a little bit. But if Adam can put up the map now that we kind of started with, Joe put together, and then I'll, let Joe speak to that a little bit here.
Okay, so that's just part of the map. I gotta really thank Justin. I'm not sure what his last name was, that did this that helped us so much on this. We just did a really rough draft. We pasted some maps together, and we were able to kind of map it out. And actually, it turned out to be 14 districts. And they start north of town, and we go from Los Ramblas area. We do Shore Cliffs, the coast, Forster Ranch, Marblehead, Talega, North Beach, Broadmoor, Rancho San Clemente, downtown, central, east, San Clemente, southwest, and southeast. And as Rick was saying, we're going to take each one of these individual districts and see what homeowners organizations there are in them. So we'll be able to get a big chunk of it off to them. Say as down in Southwest, we have Cypress Cove. Well, Cypress Cove, they have 213 houses in that unit, and that's going to be put to there. So each different district will go by and find out what homeowners there are, and then which ones do not have homeowners. And then by that, we'll be able to do our neighborhood blocks. So our first year really is just the organization of our program. And we thought best that, we don't know if we're going to try and get the RSVP program to have someone head up one of those. We're waiting to meet with the crime prevention specialist to see what different precincts they have, so we can incorporate that into it. So that's what we plan on doing. And Rick and I also talked about, once we get this up and running, and we get block captains and start developing our organization, we could even have annual programs where we'll try and have a topic for each year for these people, for the different groups to meet on, and try and keep it consistent in that way. So that's about what we've done so far. And I think Rick and I are a pretty good team going at this. And if they do decide that they're going to, the term limits and stuff like that, just so Rick and I are on different 2 years, I don't think we should both get off at the same time, because that would probably put a little problem with the program. So anyhow, that's the lump sum of it right there.
Hey, and Adam, I was actually going to, for visual aid, if you could, when you put the video back on, I'll kind of show you guys the map that Joe started, how we started with this thing.
Are you done with the
Yes.
PDF map on the screen? Can I take that down?
I think we can take that down. Then if you could, like I say, you can see how we kind of cordoned off the city into the districts and actually named the districts. So, but this is kind of interesting how Joe started and pasted this map together and started outlining the different districts. So we'll see if we can get Justin to put a file on somehow to where we can just send it to everybody so you can see the maps in our entirety. And then he also broke down each district into its own map where you can also see the streets and all that. So it'll be a much better visual when we can figure out how to get that sent out. But the one thing I wanted to start doing, I've already had a lot of volunteers, as I've been telling people about this, who want to get involved with it. And I'd like to actually talk to Sean Ramundo or Norb at the San Clemente Times and see if they would be willing to put out a little story about what's happening with some contact information, so people that are interested in being involved we could start getting those names of those people. So I wondered what anybody thought about that. Well, either you all agree or you don't really care. That's okay.
I agree with it.
And Joe left. So there.
Oh, I mean, Joe,
Boy,
really,
this is very, I thought
Lieutenant
this was gonna
Manhart,
be
don't
much
we
more
already have
exciting to
the neighborhood
everybody.
watch program?
What's that?
I have a crime
That's
prevention
Lieutenant
specialist.
Manhart about the neighborhood watch program in existence.
Well, we have a crime prevention specialist, and she'll participate in any neighborhood watch meeting that we have. So we have various groups in Talega, and so she will accommodate their meetings and present information and join their meetings as well. But she does not organize it. It's the responsibility of the community to set those up. It's not the sheriff's department, but we will provide whatever resources and information that you guys want.
Yeah, I will tell you, I was contacted by Councilwoman Ferguson, and Steve Noblock sent me an email. And Councilwoman Ferguson was very concerned. She advised me that she is a block captain, and they have had their neighborhood watch in place for several years. And I contacted her back and told her that not any existing neighborhood watch blocks, whatever, they will stay as they are right now with their block people. We're not getting rid of any neighborhood watches that are in existence. We're only adding the citywide factor to it to try to establish more. So that's what I told her, that she will still be a block captain, and God bless her, that any that we already have in existence will certainly make the job easier. So that was that.
And that was one of the reasons we wanted to meet with the crime prevention specialist, so we know which ones are
Right.
active. We have no idea which are active or not. And I think your idea about Sean Raimondo, if we get something out to the public in that way also, then we'll find out which ones they are. We don't want to reinvent the wheel here. We just want to get it rolling again. That's.
Yeah. And I spoke to the crime analyst, and she seemed very willing at any time we wanted to meet to go ahead and get that rolling. And now that we kind of have a map and we kind of know, I think now we can meet with her, and she can say, well, gee, in this district, you already have this, and we can start, filling in the squares. So like I say, I think, Joe, you and I, maybe after Christmas, we'll give her a call, and maybe after Christmas we can meet with her. And then, like I say, I'll contact the San Clemente Times and see what they will be willing to do to help us out for communication. And of course, we can put it out on social media also. So that's.
Yeah, we just don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We got this is a big program, and we got to get the organizational chart going and know what's happening there, and know who's already operating, things like that. So we're trying to do it in a methodical way, but and not get ahead of ourselves. So yeah, so there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. So I think we got a good start on it. So we'll see who goes.
Good. That's helpful. You make some progress on that one, even just organizationally. Kind of know that what's going on with that one, because that's a big project, that's for sure. Anyone else want to report on what they're doing on their tasks?
I can report on the homeless committee's task and things, what's going on there. This city council voted to table our work plan in November. That was a vote. And then it was brought back on agenda item last week. And they now have placed it for a January review. So for the joint homeless subcommittee, we've been somewhat on hold for that. But in the meantime, I've actually been making contacts with different organizations and with shelters and stuff. And the thought was I was going to go out and visit some of these shelters, but now with the new boom in coronavirus, it doesn't seem real prudent to be going out person to person doing these kind of things. So that's kind of hamstrung me a little bit. So we are making just progress connecting with people and that are in different cities and such, but right now I'm still waiting for some people to call me back. There's a lot of phone calls out there that I'm awaiting return calls on. So that's part of that. So.
Good job. Good. I'm glad we're working on that one too. That's an ongoing thing in all the communities. Interesting. I've got one on communications. Adam forwarded some emails to me. A fellow named Bill Kreuzinger is heavily involved in the amateur shortwave races programs and stuff, and there's all sorts of stuff going on a volunteer basis in the community and in the larger community in the county. I also got a hold of Peter Jimenez, which is with the coordinator for all the communications in governmental services for the county. So I'm going to be talking to the Bill, who's the volunteer, and seeing what he has and how he can help us keep communications going, because communications is key for, I think, all of our projects here too. Disaster preparedness. I have a question for Ed, if I can break in on this one. Where I came from, they had a big book that was decentralized, and it had list all the disaster that could come, natural and man-made, for example, tsunamis, earthquakes, fires, floods, nuclear and all, but I hadn't seen a pandemic involved in that. Now, Ed, do you have anything similar on your department with an all-encompassing type of a program, so you can pull off the shelf and say, this is how you handle these disasters?
Yeah, we have. I don't know if it's exactly what you're talking about a play-by-play how to handle it, but I mean, so back up, we have the disaster plans for what you were talking about, for fires, for tsunamis, and all that kind of stuff like that. And as far as pandemic, I don't believe we have a how to handle this, because this is fluid. And matter of fact, we've been going back and forth for the past 8 months on going from tactical alert and coming back off tactical alert about reducing the risk of our deputies out in the field. So it's very fluid right now.
Yeah, and it's like this once in 100 years type of thing. This pandemic is just just crazy, and it's taking the resources and everything. These hospitals are just impacted like a good thing. Rob, do you have any comments on preparedness on disasters?
Sure. So we do have a notebook or a file on our response to large-scale health emergencies and pandemics. I can be completely honest with you that we pulled that off and kind of started giving a framework to it, but it's been rewritten about 4 times in the last 8 months. So it gave us a good framework. It will definitely prepare us for something else, but having never been through one of these to this extent, a lot of changes to it. Let's just put it that way. What we did do early on, but last March, we put together an incident management team that did nothing but work on this for about 8 weeks. The good thing is that in those 8 weeks, we came up with a lot of contingency planning, of which we wrote those documents back in March, April, May. We're really nowhere near needing to put those in play. Since then, I can tell you we've taken out those contingency plans. They're on all of our desks at this point. We have not had to put them into play. Really, it's going from a three platoon shift down to a 2. How to do some emergency staffing, how to support hospitals, how to support the transfer of patients to a hospital. So we have a whole bunch of different contingency plans in place. And when I say it goes A through F, so we have those close at hand. We're watching the current situation. And like I said, that's part of the rewrite for our response to pandemic. on how to be prepared for it. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, at least, I don't know if we've ever seen this before, especially in my lifetime. I'd never seen this pandemic thing. It's worldwide, and it's not like it's an invasion from one country to another. It's widespread, and everybody's got this thing. So it's something very, very unusual that obviously we have to make sure that the city's prepared for something. I hate to see this again, but who knows how long this is going to last. Hopefully the vaccinations are going to start helping, but it's going to be a while. Any
And Nick, just further on that, I did pull up on our OCSD disaster plan, and we do have a section for disease/pandemic annex in there. So it's obviously joint with the OCFA and the Emergency Operations Center.
Good. And I want to make sure we're doing that. I'll check with both of you regarding plans and how those are implemented, just to make sure that we're covering that area, and just for my own information too on it.
Sure.
Can I ask a question on the going along the disaster plan?
Currently?
No. I was trying to ask I was saying, can I ask a question regarding the disaster plan?
Please.
Okay, because I thought that's where we were. So, Chief Capobianco, this is directed for you. Does the OCFA, and for San Clemente in particular, do they have a pre-plan for brush fires in San Clemente?
Yes, we have multiple pre-plans. We actually have 28 of them throughout the county, of which I'd have to look up. I want to say it's 2 or 3 of them are for San Clemente and the area behind San Clemente.
Okay.
And if you'd like, I can share those with you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure.
And I was curious, just because watching the fires the other day, thinking about it, I was curious, where are the helospots for if we had a brush fire down here in San Clemente?
Helospots for what? For water?
Right, water for the helicopters.
So I can look through those, but you have multiple water sources throughout South County. A couple of the golf courses are really our biggest ones for the south end of San Clemente. Different reservoirs. I know that the ones we were using are a little bit further north. So they're somewhat limited for San Clemente, but we do have a couple, and like I said, they're identified on the map. And our air resources know exactly where to go for water, no matter where the fire is.
Yeah, I am sure they are. I was just concerned because knowing the fuel types that we have here in San Clemente, we're basically flash fuels, and so brush fire, it's going to be over and gone pretty quick, generally when they run through. But the devastation is not small, if they come up those canyons and such. And so it just seems to me that that's all I was thinking about is how fast can they make your water drops get back, that kind of thing. So refuel, rearm, I guess, with water. So anyways,
Right.
That's all. I was just looking at that. So
Yeah, no, let me send you those maps. I think you'll see where our water sources are. And you're absolutely right. It's all about rotations per hour, and the number of the further you have to go for your water source, the less water you can put on the fire from the air. I can tell you with the last fires we had, and one of the questions that did come up in the last meeting, I want to maybe this is a good time to answer to. Somebody asked on the first fire, what wind conditions ground air resources? And so the guideline for us is any sustained winds over 40 miles an hour, or when you get wind gusts that are greater than 15 miles an hour above the sustained winds. That's when it makes it difficult to fly and operate at those low altitudes. During the Silverado fire, we did ground air resources. With the sustained winds were 48 to 50 miles an hour with gusts into the 60s. So that's why both rotary and fixed wing air resources were grounded for that. On the bonfire, we were able to utilize all of our air resources throughout the whole fire, including the Colson airship, which is 3,000 gallons per drop. Makes a huge impact. So those were present. But let me send you these maps. I'll show you exactly. It identifies where our water sources are. And we can kind of go from that and have any discussion you need.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Yeah, because there's a lot of work to do on this disaster preparedness thing. And we're going to have Steve Foster. When's he scheduled for, Adam? Is for January? Or a presentation from Steve Foster?
Yeah, so that would be the January meeting.
And that's emergency preparedness for the city. He's the coordinator on that. So we'll keep on that. So any other reports, what's been going on with our work on it? I know in legislation, there hasn't been a whole bunch that I've seen that's come through.
No, because of the elections, so there's some changeover going there, and now you have the holidays coming up and the pandemic, and the legislative session doesn't really begin until January. There's not open things going on. There's behind the scenes things going on, but there's nothing that's been posted, and it's difficult getting reports back. You know, I'm sending out emails and stuff to staffers and such of different legislators in our district, but right now they're just saying nothing's going on. So yeah, it's like, if you believe that, then nothing's going on, but I don't believe it.
Well, tailing in on legislation, my very close and dear friend and former comrade, Georgie Gascon, got elected as the Los Angeles County District Attorney, and gee, maybe he'll, when he's done there, because after what he did in San Francisco, now he's down in LA, maybe he would come into Orange County, and it'll make things much easier on the police department, because you won't arrest anybody for anything, you won't incarcerate them for anything, and you won't prosecute them for anything. So I think Ed probably ought to really be hoping that Georgie comes down here, because it's going to make his job much easier when that happens. So everybody just keep a real close eye on Los Angeles, and it's going to take about a year before it's going to change things dramatically there. So let's hope that maybe that doesn't happen sooner or later. So it's very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he's been elected by the people. The people wanted him, so go for it.
They're going to finally get the county that they've always wanted.
Yeah. How far south in Orange County can we go? I think we're here.
Well, that's one thing that actually, in reality, and Chief Banhart and I had chatted with this briefly, is, you know, North Orange County butts right up to South LA County, and there's going to be some flow over from Los Angeles that's going to cause the OCSD some issues up there.
You mean the bad guys don't know the geographic lines?
They don't know the exact street. Now, we're both hoping that maybe when it gets so loose in LA, a lot of our more diligent criminals in Orange County, maybe they'll move up into LA. So, you know, you never know. You can keep our fingers crossed.
Got it. Good. Okay, let's any more for the cause there before we get into reports from the committee members and staff? I guess not. Okay, let's go for Chief Manhart. We're going to do committee reports. The reports, anything to report this last?
You know what? I don't have anything to report. It's just it's kind of a trying times for the department, right, with the COVID re-outbreak. And so what we're doing is we're trying to minimize our exposure in the public for non-emergency calls, trying to do report calls over the phone, and it's challenging, and more importantly, trying to keep my staff healthy. And we'll get through this, but this is kind of unprecedented. We haven't had a dramatic outbreak as far as operations go since this pandemic, and lately we're having some challenges. So we're doing okay, but some of our activities have been kind of altered through dispatch, and it is what it is. And hopefully, as soon as we can get through this, we can get back out and be with the public. But I need to do what I need to do to keep my staff safe. And this is never have I seen this in my career where we've kind of had to alter our way of doing things. But hopefully, here in a couple of weeks, we can get back to that. But we'll see how this is.
Lieutenant Manhart, can you talk a little bit about what a mob party is and what happened on T Street last week? Last month, we kind of discussed it. We had one happen there. I can't remember what the date was, but we had quite a few people, teenagers there, and then a couple teenagers went to the hospital. And just last week, we had another one of those. I guess kids get on Facebook or whatever they do, and they just get hundreds and hundreds of kids that come down here. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what can we expect about that stuff?
Yeah, they showed up, and so initially the initial response, the information that was given to dispatch, that there were people on the beach. Well, that's not necessarily an emergency response. Later on, we got the calls about possible vandalism, about things being thrown, so we responded, and there's some video about all the participants running, because obviously the deputies were on scene, and there was a report of possibly a fight. Nobody reported any crimes to us that entire incident. So there were people. Do I think there could have been? Absolutely, but it wasn't reported to us. But as a response to that, what we're going to do here, on the weekends now, we're going to have staff assigned in that area to deter that kind of behavior. So we'll have people up on top in the parking lots and then down below to deter any kind of nefarious activity, and hopefully send a message to the community. And it's not my understanding. So we wrote, what night was it? It was either Friday or Saturday. I was counting them. I had 28 tickets that were on my desk. And quite a few of the tickets were not San Clemente residents. So which leads to what you were talking about, Joe, where, somebody was organizing something and came down to our city, which is fine. But we will be there, and we will have a presence over the weekend on Fridays and Saturdays, and we will make sure that everybody acts appropriately and is not committing any crimes. And but it is costing the city, and this is a struggle that it's not for free, because I have to take people out of other positions. But this is a concern that the community has brought up, and so this is how we're gonna kind of combat that.
Prevention wise, I know that's reacting to it, and that's what we need to do. But prevention wise, do these kids actually get on the social media and decide they're going to have this type of party? I mean, it seems like they go to places where maybe there's not paid parking, that they don't have to pay for parking, or what it is. Is there anything the city can do to say to kind of just discourage that kind of actions coming to a certain area? Like it's happened on T Street probably 3 times in the last 4 months. So I didn't see it happening at the pier, maybe because they have parking there. It's well lit up. I don't see it happen down at Calafia. Is there any reason, anything the city can do to change that desire for people to come to certain of our beaches?
Well, I think that's something the city needs to discuss, but you're trying to deter people from coming to a public beach, and that's not going to happen.
I'm trying to deter 300 people from congregating at 8 o'clock at night. And
okay, so fine. So are you going to call me in the springtime, and are you going to report that there are 5,000 people on the beach? I understand what you're saying, but what's reported is not a crime. And once criminal behavior starts, and that's what was reported to us about throwing objects, then absolutely. But you were reporting 300 people on the beach. I can show you pictures of springtime where I have thousands and thousands of people on the beach, and I haven't received calls that, hey, there are people on the beach. And so you're asking me to deter people from showing up at T Street. I'm not,
I don't think that's it, Ed. I think it's their behavior when they get here, the drinking, the shooting off fireworks and things like that.
and that's why in order to deter that, the way I'm going to deter that is with the presence. That's the way to deter that. But now this is, you're taking resources that are in the entire city, and we're putting them to this neighborhood. And it is a challenge, but that's what I'm going to do, because that's what the concern is. And that's the way to deter that. I'm not sure what else you're asking me to do.
No, I'm asking for any suggestions that you may have what the city can do, whether it's changing parking hours or increase. I mean, I know that's not part of your decision, but
And it isn't, and I will never get involved in recommending the city to close access to the public. That is something that the community and then the city council and the city management needs to discuss. And what I do is whatever the city, the community agrees with the city council to set up a municipal code, then it's my responsibility to enforce that. But I will never tell the community this is how you should live and this is where you should or should not go. That's not my responsibility. I understand the concerns about people partying down there. And as a result, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a proactive approach to have deputies present and have command presence to hopefully keep everybody in line. There still might be 300 people there this weekend, but I assure you the deputies are going to be standing right there. And therefore, if they do start throwing bottles or doing any kind of other nefarious activities, then hopefully they'll be cited and if not arrested. But I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell the city or recommend closing the park.
I think you're misunderstanding me. We had talked before about STLUs, that we were having problems with them, and you were having to come out to a lot of nuisance calls and things like that. And then we had the incident on Cordova, and you said, yeah, we wouldn't have all these responses if we didn't have STLUs. So I not asking you to tell the city how to do something. I'm asking if you have any suggestions that would decrease your workload in certain areas.
I think pertaining to this, there isn't anything because it's a public area and they can be there. So we already have the municipal codes, for alcohol and the fires and those types of things. And then for parking, right, we already have certain hours that they can and cannot be there. And I think my approach is going to be is providing staff there during those times and see how that combats that. And then if that's not working, well, whatever happens, I'm going to report that back to the city. And if they're satisfied with that, then great. Then we'll continue those efforts. And if that's not working, well, then the city is going to have to come up with something on that.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question for you, Chief.
Sure.
What's the status on the second floor and also your substation?
So our station just got approved the last city council meeting, and approved the contract. They have a company that's going to revamp the entire second floor for us. It's the same company that worked in the city building before, so they have prior knowledge. And my understanding of what I was told is sometime middle, possibly in January, is construction will start. And it's expected by June that our full-time station will be up and running, and all of my staff will be out of this building. I'm currently at City Hall. On the second floor, all patrol units, the cars, and all resources will be down here just as we were a year and a half ago at Presidio. So we are really looking forward to that. It's been a long time coming, but the staff is pretty excited.
I can imagine. How about the substation?
Are you talking about the outlets?
Yes.
Yeah, that's been operational for 3 or 4 months. And so deputies we have some areas to write reports, and so the deputies I've been utilizing that as well. So that is up and running, and there's nothing further on that.
And is that something that the citizens can actually walk up and make contact with the deputy, or is it a locked building, or how's that work?
It's a locked building. It's on the second floor. It's not as it's not being designed for somebody to respond to report a call. That would be here once this is open in June. On the back side of the building, we will have an area to where people can come and report those things. But at the outlets, it's strictly a place to keep deputies on the west side of the freeway for quicker response times and where they can do report writing in the day-to-day business. There were some concerns that the city council had come up with about having our station be established here at City Hall. And that was my compromise to ensure that our response times, stay within the desired guidelines of what we do.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions for the law enforcement end of it? How about the fire services? How are we doing there?
Well, I've got a couple of I guess updates between the bonfire. I think that happened since our last meeting, and then as well as kind of our response and some of the effects that COVID's having on us. But the biggest thing with the bonfire and what you can expect in San Clemente, once again, when winds are predicted, we continue to upstaff. We've tapped not only our additional brush strike teams, we doubled our helicopter response, we kept hand crew, we kept dozers on 24 hours a day prior to the winds hitting. The other thing that was aggressively done was the Cal OES has a way of funding strike teams. So we, within Orange County, we work well with all the metro cities. There are, Cal OES has state fire engines that they purchase for fire departments. They're type 3, the brush engines. Those are scattered around Orange County. There's 5 of them. So through OES and us as the operational area, we upstaff that strike team that was staged up in Anaheim Stadium. We're currently in the process of getting 5. OCFA will be getting 5 additional of those OES engines. The great thing about it is, 1, they come free of charge. 2, they do pay for upstaffing prior to, we call it pre-positioning prior to wind events. So it'll just be more resources that we can upstaff for a robust initial attack on these fires. And like was mentioned earlier, Orange County is a little different than Northern California. When we get a fire, they don't burn very long, and they're in structures almost immediately. So that initial response is extremely important, very different than up north where they burn for a month or 2 at a time. Our fires are typically a day to 3 days long, and it's in the structures within hours. So the OES strike team was upstaffed within Orange County. We had a strike team. And also working with CAL FIRE, a lot of our lands, including the land behind San Clemente, is state responsibility land that they have us and they pay for us to cover those lands. So they also brought down 5 strike teams from Northern California, of which they brought 1 and pre-positioned it here in Orange County. Once again, their objective is for response to their state responsibility lands, but it's here within Orange County. So a robust initial response, and that's what can be expected. I understand this fire was not in San Clemente or a threat to San Clemente, but I think it's important to point out how we'll respond for the threat to San Clemente. The big challenges that we've seen is between these 3 fires and the amount of extra shifts that people have been working. And then you couple of that with the COVID response. So right now we have just over 90 individuals that are off work with COVID, awaiting testing, and then many of them positive. Another impact on our staffing ability. As of now, not only is it every station in San Clemente, but every station in Orange County is fully staffed. We do have constant manning. We do not go down. We do not close fire stations. And so we will continue to maintain that within the city of San Clemente. And we have not had to back down from that anywhere in Orange County. That being said, one of our biggest concerns right now is what we call wall time. So when hospitals get busy, we cannot pass off that patient. We cannot leave the hospital until that patient is passed off to a nurse. That being said, one of our contingency plans, our numbers have not that's the number we're watching, because when we leave engine 60 or engine 50 at the hospital with one of your 2 care ambulances, that's an impact on staffing in San Clemente. So once, if those wall times, and up north, we've seen them a little bit more, but down here with Mission Laguna, Big Mission and Mission Viejo, as well as Saddleback, the wall times have not gotten long enough to where we've had to pull the trigger on some options we have to assist with getting resources back. And so in San Clemente, that would be one of my big concerns. Once again, just geography of being part of the cul-de-sac and making sure that your fire stations are full. So one of the things that we have not had to do yet, but an option we have, just kind of one of those contingency plans I talked about, was if we staff up an extra paramedic unit. So over the years, we've saved our old paramedic vans. In March, we outfitted all of them with a full set of ALS gear, and they've literally been sitting in a hangar up in Fullerton next to our helicopters. We have 17 of those that we can pull in place. We can literally put those at hospitals. And the theory is that we can bring a patient to the hospital, pass that patient off to the paramedic at the hospital, and that individual can wait on that wall time, and we can get engine 60, engine 50 back in service in the city. So that's one of the ideas that we're thinking. Like I said, we have not had to do that. A few of the cities have called and asked for some of our paramedic vans. Laguna, we loaned one to. Anaheim, we loaned 2 of them. And Orange, we loaned one to. And I don't know if they've put any of those in service yet, but it's just all these departments trying to figure out how to keep our resources available for that next call. So that's just kind of an idea of what we're going through. Once again, our staffing, let alone through the holidays, we continue to keep our plans in place to make sure that all of our rigs are completely staffed. So that's something that we're managing literally all day long, every day, as we work through this. We do have those paramedic vans on standby in case the numbers get to that point. But fingers crossed, we don't get there. And the numbers in San Clemente or at Mission and the South County hospitals have been okay up to this point. So we're not there yet, but the impact on our members and our people has been very significant over the last month and a half. And I guess I'm proud to say that our people continue to put in for extra shifts. Many of them are forced shifts, more or less at 7:30 in the morning. They're told they're not going home that day. And our people have been very committed to that. And I guess I'm proud of the effort that our people are making so that we can continue to keep our high level of service in San Clemente. But as we go through this, we continue to evolve as the challenges evolve and kind of face our department. And so far, things are going, they're staying under control. And let's hope for the next month or two until hopefully vaccines can make an effort or an impact on us. We can maintain where we're at right now. So as of today, we're looking okay. But I'm available for any questions if you have any.
I have one follow-up on the COVID thing. Where do you stand on the priority for your first line people to get vaccinations?
So I've seen in writing from County Public Health, it's their decision. First responders, including paramedics, EMTs, are in the first tier. So I want to say we were 1A or 1B. I have heard that doses are being will be delivered to our headquarters for distribution. I have not heard a date yet, but everything I've been hearing is we are high up on that list so that we can keep our people. Hopefully we can keep them at work. You know, that's our goal. Not only keep them healthy and keep their families healthy, but the real piece of it is to keep them working.
Yeah. If we don't have that there, you know, if you guys are all sick, I don't know what we're going to be able to do.
And we have been prioritized high by county health. I haven't seen physical dates yet come out, but we are high up on that list so that we can keep our people working.
Any other questions for the chief?
Yeah, hi, Chief. I'm going to pivot back to the mutual aid responses and such. is Orange County still in Region 1?
Yes. Orange and LA, yes.
Yeah. And maybe some of the former police officers may not know that on the committee, but is this still true that there's 6 regions in the state? They still, because the Region 1 expands from Orange County up to San Luis Obispo. And so to get resources, is it required still? Now they may have changed it. Is it required still that you have to go through Region 1 before you can get any other region resources?
No. So the issue you're bringing up still is an issue. As far as we start to think, trying to get Region 6 resources from down south. So what it does is automatically we are, like Gary was saying, there's 6 regions. LA County is the region coordinator for these mutual aid resources. Orange County, each county has its own operational area coordinator. So OCFA is the operational area coordinator for Orange County. So as we make requests for resources, if Orange County as a proper can't fill it, then it goes to region, which is LA County. And it's Santa Barbara, Ventura, LA County, and us, and they start filling it within that region. Where that becomes more of a challenge is you start getting resources from Ventura and even Santa Barbara and further north. Inyo is another one, versus tapping on Oceanside and some of the North San Diego County resources. So what it takes is somebody up in our dispatch, which we deal with this frequently, is forward thinking to pass those and work with LA County's Region 1 to get some of those resources filled by the closest available resource. And even the way you request it for closest available versus a planned need resources. So as we do these initial attack and we continue to get resources from down in Region 6, which is San Diego, because a lot of those resources are closer. So there's workarounds to it. Your issue you're bringing up still does exist in the matrix, but we've all done it enough to where we work around that shortcoming.
That's good. That's gonna be good for us because
it is good for you. And one of the other things is we're talking about OES and regions, and there's a very formal process on how we order up all these resources and where they come from. Our chief got together with the chief from LA County, LA City, and Ventura, so the 4 largest fire departments in Southern California, and they got together, and not going outside of OES. We do have support from OES, but there's a system that's been put in place, because as you can see, the process can take a little while. It's still very efficient and it works very well. But here in Orange County, I can't wait 2 hours to get a strike team from LA City. We're going to be losing homes by then. So what these 4 fire chiefs have done, and that process, really what it does is it ensures that proper payment is made. So when you're sending resources to LA County, OCFA Orange County residents aren't necessarily paying for them. So what these chiefs have gotten together is say we're fully in on the mutual aid system and OES and the sharing of resources. But when it comes to us, we're all willing to take that risk on the payment piece, that if you ask for resources, a phone call in the middle of the night from chief to chief gets resources there quicker. With the Blue Ridge fire, so the first set of fires we had when we had 2 fires in one day, that phone call was made. We've got 5 strike teams from LA City. 10 engines from LA City, 10 from LA County, and 5 from Ventura County, all within 20 minutes on the road. The paperwork, the OES, the proper request comes later. And so what that does is when we broke our second fire, those first resources on that second fire were actually from LA County and LA City. It speeds up the process, it gets things going. And so for an area like San Clemente, getting 25 fire engines here within Orange County in less than an hour is a huge advantage to us as we move things in. So it's just figuring out ways to work through the mutual aid system, still completely relying on it and playing our part, but trying to get those resources quickly. And when it comes right down to it, the paperwork and the admin, it used to be you don't leave your station until we figure out who's paying for you. Now get your station, get out of your station, get to where you need to be, and we'll figure out the payment piece later, and it works out. So that's kind of one of the ways to back up what you're talking about with the OES regions and getting our resources there quicker. We don't have a day to wait for a fire engine. As you can see with Silverado and really all of our 3 fires, they're within structures within an hour, if not immediately. So that's kind of how we work through that. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it did very well. Thank you.
Hey, guys, I apologize, but I have to leave. I got another meeting that just popped up, so I appreciate your time. I'll see you guys in the next meeting.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Lieutenant Manhart.
Good. Any questions for the fire end of it from anyone else? No, seeing none. Adam, do you have anything from Rod Malott?
I do not.
Okay.
Just one note, he will not be joining us for the joint Beaches, Parks and Recreation Commission and Public Safety meeting being held tonight at 6 p.m. Either. But I have heard from Fire Chief and our Sheriff Lieutenant that they will be attending with us.
And could you make sure, Adam, that we get those links to that Zoom meeting emailed to us?
Yeah, I forwarded an email this morning that has all the information. If you did not get it or you have any trouble accessing it, please contact me and I'll send it another way.
Good on that. All right. Well, we get down to the committee chair. I have nothing further. I think I said everything I need to say on the work plans and things. So I think tonight will be an interesting meeting, and we'll be sitting there. It looks like the beach parks and recreation have the lead on this thing because they're concentrating on the beach trail itself. So that's kind of what we're looking at this point, and that's all I've got. So let's go to the vice chair, Joe Janis. Anything?
I got 2 things, and one of them you started. Do we have a consensus on what the Public Safety Committee feels about e-bikes on the trail? I think that's pretty important that we go there tonight and that we have a consensus on. We did get to talk about it a bit before, but I watched the meeting, as I'm sure all you did, with the Parks and Rec, and there were different opinions, and I have to respect all the opinions, but we're the public safety element, and I think that we should have a consensus among us what we feel about those bikes on the trail. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think that they're expecting us to go in with a consensus. I think we're supposed to listen to the beaches and parks. They're still deliberating on what they think the beach trail ought to encompass. And then I think their input they're looking from us is going to be more from a possible enforcement possibilities or that part of it, or whether there should be, for public safety, should there be bikes on there? But I think they're still working out what they think the character of that beach trail ought to be. They're taking, after their last meeting, if any of you watched that. So, but I'm sure tonight they'll be looking for input, and I know I have gotten a lot of input from people, as I'm sure the rest of you have. And I think we will be finding our spots to throw our feelings in, but I don't think they were looking for us to come in with a consensus, because they don't even have a consensus on what they're going to do yet.
Yeah, I was talking from a public safety point for the bikes on that trail. But okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, I don't think probably, Joe. I'll bet there isn't probably a consensus among all of us exactly how it ought to go, really. So, well, I'm sure we'll have a chance to express our own personal opinions anyway.
Yeah, I think and I might be wrong on this, Adam, you can correct me, but I think at some point along the road that's the cause of our committee, or the function of it is to make recommendations about public safety and things like that. And we're not all going to agree for sure, but consensus isn't always that. It's when you come up with a plan, and you that's what you go with. So it doesn't mean that we're going to be 100%, but that we could all be consensus on something. So anyhow, that's just my opinion. We'll see how that goes as time comes. I wish Ed would have been able to stay. The other thing I was going to bring up, and I kind of got into it a little with him about things, is that it costs us money all the time. Like if we have an event like we have the Trump rally, it costs us quite a bit of money to that. And so now the council is talking about having an event permits, and that we've always had some kind of thing like that, and I'm not saying I'm in favor of that or not, but I think that if the city does things like that, that we have a chance of deterring some of the costs from police and also some of the burden and response time that police have. One of the things I talked about was short-term lodging units. We used to have so many responses to some of these short-term lodging units that it just was overburdening the police and code enforcement, everything. And then when the city finally came up with an ordinance, we were finally able to get rid of some of those things. So there was less demand on those services for those particular things. So this event thing, and I use the T Street thing as an example, as the gathering place. If there were some kind of a city event permit that only allowed so many people for events without having a permit, that might deter people from doing things like that. And I'm not talking about.
Hey, Joe, I think what you're bringing up is really compelling, and I would suggest maybe that if you wanted to make a motion that we agendize discussing the public safety component of these future gatherings and the physical impact of it. If you'd like to make a motion that we put that on the next agenda to discuss it, I would be happy to second that.
Okay, let me ask Adam for help on a motion.
Can I just say something before you make that motion? The city has been working, the city, first of all, does have a municipal code section that regulates special events, and that section requires special event permits. It's not the most contemporary section of code related to special events, especially when it comes to deciphering the difference between commercial and non-commercial events, and how first right amendments are incorporated into the identification of those events. So I myself and Samantha Wiley have been working with the city attorney's office for many months on an ordinance related to updating this section of the code. It's gone to the council in September. The council had comments on it. It went back, I think, the second meeting in November, and there were still some additional concerns and questions from council, and that is still something that is being worked on currently. At this point in time, the council has not provided any direction for any committees or commissions to be involved in the review of that ordinance. Right now, it's between staff and the council, and it will be going back to council relatively soon. So I want to just caution that.
Okay.
You may be able to agendize a discussion about impacts to public safety from special events and large public gatherings. However, this work is already being carried out by staff and the council currently.
Okay, so I always get back to letters. If we wanted to make council know our thoughts about this, then like I've just expressed, and without taking a lot of time to agendize it and doing duplicating efforts, how do we go about letting the council know that we believe that police services and fire service would be would help if we would have such ordinances as that. Is it something that we just talk individually to the council members, or is it something that we could do as a committee, or what is that?
Either way, it could be is feasible, could be appropriate. However, as staff that is working on this, I can tell you that council is already aware of the need to provide for the draw on resources that has been experienced by some of these events. The first step that I would recommend is let me send you links to the council meetings where they have discussed this issue. And with those links, I will send the agenda reports and the proposed ordinances that staff has drafted to address these issues. And they specifically identify how costs are to be identified and charged to appropriate parties where it's legally possible to do so.
Okay, with that, then I'll forget about making any type of motion and put it on hold.
Yeah, that's proactive. You're trying to be really proactive on the thing, and things are in the mill. So thank you, Joe, for bringing that up. Rick, do you have anything?
Yeah, I've just got a couple of things, and this is in pursuant to a lot of responses I've gotten regarding a couple of issues. And I would like to make a motion to put a couple of things on the next agenda. And again, this is just to put it on the agenda and have a discussion. We don't need to have a discussion about any of these now, but in a month. And the first thing is I make a motion that we discuss the possibility of having the city install armrests on our benches along Del Mar and the downtown business area to bifurcate benches into 3 separate seating areas. I'd like to discuss that and bring up some issues that entails. So I move that I make a motion that we add that to our agenda on our next meeting.
Okay. Is that a small portion of a larger issue that maybe, are you looking at just bus benches, or is that part of a larger issue you're aiming at? I don't know. I understand the armrests in there. People can't lounge all over those things. They have to sit up straight, right?
That would probably make that would entail doing that. Yeah, I would think.
Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't prevent somebody being on the ground stretched out either.
I guess I'd ask, how do we relate this to public safety?
I'll interject. The general plan discusses the need for the city to incorporate principles of crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED, and the benches are somewhat unique because they don't get replaced that often. They tend to be very sturdy concrete structures that last decades. And while I think that the committee is identifying correctly as is this part of a larger issue? It is part of a larger issue related to the idea of designing our built environment to reduce the ability for people to use it in ways that it was not intended to be used. While that is an enormous task undertaking, taking little bites where appropriate actually makes a lot of sense. And so while it might lead to a larger discussion, I can tell you right now, we are my staff is having issues with specific bus benches and benches in general. So, from a staff perspective, I think this is an appropriate motion to agendize, and I would be more than happy to provide some information to prepare the committee prior to their next meeting to discuss this matter further.
I appreciate your input, Adam, and to the other committee members. I don't want to expand on this in that if it's on the agenda, the public will have a chance to speak on this. And I think they will be much more eloquent than I'm just merely responding to numerous citizens who have wanted to bring this up. If it doesn't get a second, it doesn't get a second. I've done my part.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. So this will just give us a chance to discuss this at the next meeting. I think that when that happens, when it's on the agenda, I think it'll become really clear what the issue is. And the second thing is, and we've talked about this a little bit, but I make a motion that we agendize.
I think we have to vote on the first one.
Yeah, can we take a roll call on that first motion?
Okay, let me, isn't it the city policy that once two members of the committee agree that we don't have to have a vote, that it's agendized?
I'm aware of that as a council policy, but as far as the committee,
Okay. No, that's fine.
I'd rather
That's
just be
fine.
safe and sorry at this point. So Chair Bercuda,
Aye. I'll do
Vice
it.
Chair Janus,
Aye.
Committee Member Leffler,
Aye.
and Committee Member Walsh.
Aye.
All right, that passes 4-0.
And the second one is I'd like to make a motion that we put on the agenda the possibility of the city acquiring license plate reading cameras. I know this is a big issue for Chief Manhart also, and I'd like to have a discussion at our next meeting about the possibility of facilitating that.
Now, is that a mobile or is that a stationary type of
They're stationary like they have up in Talega. They purchased a couple for Talega. Would be a permanent camera.
I'll second that one.
Yeah, could you explain to me what they do and the purpose of them? I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Yeah, they're cameras that are set up, they're leased, they're put up by a camera company at whatever location we decide, and they photograph every car that goes by and reads its license plate. And what that does is if we have crimes in the city and somebody describes a blue Explorer that was involved, they can go back and they can pull that footage and they can actually identify that particular vehicle.
Any other?
It sounds like a technology
Yes.
a review issue. I'm more than happy to support the committee in reviewing this, but I'd like to make sure that we're doing the work plan appropriately, and so it might be a benefit for the committee member that is doing the technology review, which would be Chair Bercuda, maybe to work with one other committee member on this and do some research and basically come to the next meeting with a, for lack of a better word, maybe a more formalized proposal, and we can agendize. We can agendize it here if there's a necessity, an urgency to it, but maybe instead of just agendizing it and then discussing it at the next meeting, since it's already in the purview of the work plan, maybe two members can work offline and really develop more of a presentation for preparing for the next meeting.
Okay, I think I'm on that same work plan process with Nick. I will work with them, and actually I already have a contact of the person who's supplying most of the cameras. Maybe we could even have them come and do a short presentation. I know that was Chief Manhart's wish also.
Yeah, how that, and thank you for correcting the staff committee member assignments on that particular project. Yeah, however the committee wants to do this, I just want to make sure that we're just following the work plan in terms of the this particular issue of technology review.
I'll be in contact with Nick and we will figure something out for the next meeting.
Okay, so in that case, it's because it relates specifically to a work plan project. I don't think we need to actually make a motion to agendize it, since
Okay.
we've already approved the work plan. It's in the work plan. What I'll do is I'll place that as a special item on the agenda, that you guys can then present whatever you want. What I would recommend is that if there's anything that you would like the committee to vote on at the next meeting that relies on documents, provide those documents ahead of time so that I can publish them as part of the agenda. That way the public has an opportunity to review it.
We can certainly do that.
Good job. Okay, that works wonderful. Any other with you, Rick?
No, that was it. I appreciate it.
That leaves us with Gary. Any comments?
No, I think we've covered everything that I'm involved in.
Okay, good. Now, Adam, city staff. Your
Okay. Let's see, a couple updates. So the city has a winter furlough that starts on December 23rd. Make sure I get my dates right here. I'm sorry, starting December 24th until January 4th, the city offices are closed. With that, the Code Compliance Division takes this time off as well. So there will not be any code compliance staff working during this time. And that is primarily due to the fact that classically code compliance is not, we're not emergency responders. We tend to deal with offenses of the municipal code that are not of an urgent matter. That has changed a little bit in the past couple years. However, during this time, we update our website and we provide information to our answering service to direct the public to contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department if there are urgent issues that need to be addressed. And those tend to be things like noise impacts or immediate threats to health and safety. We would direct everybody to contact the sheriffs. However, the park rangers are working during the furlough with the exception of Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Most of the issues that the public would contact code compliance about can be addressed by the park rangers. Lately, we've gotten a lot more complaints about issues in the public right of way, especially related to things like encampments and things of that nature. The park rangers will still be available to deal with a lot of those issues. So that's the first thing. The second one, as we're all aware, the next meeting is that we will be together on is the joint meeting with Beaches, Parks and Recreation. I know at the last Beaches, Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, there was a lot of history provided about the e-bike regulations, and if anybody hasn't watched that video, you may want to just tune in for a little bit, because I'm not sure exactly how much depth they're going to go into. I know that the city has, and the BPR Commission specifically, has been reviewing the potential for e-bike regulations for years, and there's a lot of history here, and I think it would really save everybody a lot of time if we educate ourselves on that history and not have to continually go over it. With that said, the meeting tonight, I think, is going to be very productive. And if anybody would like any information before that meeting, please contact me, and I will provide you with whatever resources the city has available on that subject. Let's see, and that is all I had.
I have one last question, Adam. I watched that, and I might have missed it, but has the city attorney said anything about the city's liability for allowing e-bikes on the trail?
I have not heard anything from the city attorney's office related to that.
Nick, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Nick.
There you go. Yeah, it seems like a reasonable question to ask the city attorney if they haven't already. I don't know if Samantha's group has addressed that.
I'm sure that that's a question that could be asked tonight and answered. I don't know the answer to that question offhand.
Got it. Okay. Anything else for the cause? Okay.
If there's not, I move that we adjourn this meeting and till our next scheduled meeting, which is the joint meeting with the Beaches and Parks Commission at 6 p.m. this evening.
Any second? Okay, good.
Who seconded that?
I didn't.
All right. Chair Bercuda? Vice Chair Janus?
Aye.
Committee Member Leffler?
Aye.
And Committee Member Walsh?
Hi.
All right.
Good.
That concludes our meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Adam,
All right.
you
You guys, hey,
really good.
and thanks, Chief, for all your information that you gave us, and I really appreciate your input.
Absolutely. I sent an email with those wildland pre-plans in there, so take a look at them, and you can call me directly if you have any questions.
So good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See you guys tonight.
Bye.